my crafty friends. Well, today I have some patriotic cards that I want to share with you. And the card ideas feature a new bundle called Circle Sayings. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have 4 different card ideas I want to share with you, which feature a fun new bundle called Circle Sayings. And I also have a fun little technique that I've shared before, but I'll share it again so that you are able to create these little flag style cards. So I have some simple card ideas and some cards that require a little bit of technique, but they're very simple as well. Now, the cards in this video feature the Circle Sayings stamp set from Stampin Up. And this particular stamp set comes in a bundle with a circle punch. So besides using the Circle Sayings, I am also using a couple other die sets just to kind of decorate up the cards. So I decided to use the Give It a Whirl dies. Now these particular dies have some fun little stitched stars in them, so that's what I used to decorate these cards. And then I also use the Stylish Shapes dies. All right, so let's get started making these cards. Okay, so let's start out with the simple card ideas. So the colors I'm using are Blueberry Bushel, and I'm using some Real Red. So let's start with this card. So you're going to start with a piece of Blueberry Bushel cardstock for the base of your card. The next thing I did is I cut a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock. So this is just going to go right on the front of the card. The next thing I did is I cut a 2 by 5 1/4 inch piece of designer paper. So this is just going to go on the left side of this white cardstock. Now you can use any designer paper. I chose this particular designer paper because it has the little stripes. So since we're doing patriotic cards with stars and stripes, I thought this design worked perfect. And then you're going to cut a 2 by 4 1/2 inch piece of Blueberry Bushel cardstock. And then you can emboss it with any embossing folder you like. I'm actually using one of the Basics 3D embossing folders because it has like little stars in it. So I thought it was perfect for this style of card. And then you just want to snip the end into a little banner. So that's what I did with this one. And we will go ahead and adhere this to the card. So it's a pretty basic design, but it works perfect for this Circle Saying bundle because now we can create our circle and put it right up here on this little banner. All right, to create the circle, you just need a scrap piece of white cardstock. So I'm going to start with the Real Red, and I'm going to use one of the circle images in the set. So it just says Celebrate all the way around it, and we'll just ink it up with this red ink and stamp it on our scrap piece. And then I'm going to use some Blueberry Bushel, and I'm going to use one of the little images from the set. Just kind of looks like little sun rays, or kind of gives you the illusion of something that's shiny. So I'm just going to stamp that on the top and bottom of the inside of this circle shape. So now we are ready to punch out our shape. So we'll just slide it into the punch and just kind of align it inside the punch and then punch out your image. So now what I did is I just cut out some pieces to just kind of decorate this circle. So I cut out a small circle shape from a piece of white cardstock using one of the Stylish Shapes dies. So this is the smallest circle. And I just wanted to kind of add this in the middle here. Then the next thing I did is I just cut out some stars using those Give It a Whirl dies. So I cut out a bunch of stars from Blueberry Bushel cardstock, just popped it up with a dimensional, and we're going to put this right in the center so it makes a really great focal point. And we'll pop this up on the card, and we have a really fun patriotic card. So that's how simple it is. And then you can decorate the inside with some more designer paper and a couple more stars. So that particular die cuts out 3 different size stars. All right, so card number 2 is another very simple design. So we're going to use a diagonal design to create the background for this card. So let me show you how to do that. So you're going to start with a piece of designer paper, which is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And then you're also going to choose the same size piece of white cardstock. So this is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to put these in the paper trimmer and we're going to cut on an angle from point to point. So from corner to corner. All right, so we have our 2 pieces of designer paper, and then I have a piece of white cardstock that is embossed with the same embossing folder I used for the previous card. So it has that fun star pattern on it. All right, so now that we have our pieces cut, you can decide which pieces you want to use. You can actually create 2 cards with this technique. So I'm just going to use these 2 pieces, and basically we're going to start with a piece of blueberry bushel cardstock for the base of our card. And then we are going to adhere our pieces to the card front. So the pieces are going to get adhered like this, and you can do it either way. If you want the red up on the top or on the bottom, it doesn't matter. I'll adhere my designer paper first. So the cool thing about this is you can create the second card the opposite direction, or you can make them both the same. All right, so we'll adhere this piece. Okay, so the next thing I did is just tied a little bit of white twine around the center of the card, just created a bow. So I just wrapped that around twice. And then I cut a large circle shape from a piece of blueberry bushel cardstock. So this is the largest circle shape in that Stylish Shapes dies. And then I just created the same focal point that I did for the first card. So we're just going to put this right on this blue shape here. And then I just added some dimensionals on the back, and we will just pop this right up on the center of the card. And then you can go ahead and decorate it with some additional stars. And then on the inside, I used some stars and some designer paper to decorate the inside. So another very simple and fun little patriotic card. All right, so for the last 2 card ideas, I created a little flag using an embossing folder, and I did some embossing with ink. So I know I showed you this technique before, so I'll show it to you again. And this time we are going to be using one of the embossing folders from the Splatter and Stripes embossing folder pack. So this is, of course, the Stripes. And it has a little rustic kind of worn look to it, which makes it really easy to match up the pattern. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's create this card first. And I am going to grab some scrap paper here. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up our embossing folder, and we're going to add some ink to the inside cover. So I'm going to add some ink up here on the top. So it has the Stampin' Up logo here on this side. That's the side that I'm going to add the ink. And so I'm just going to ink up this folder. And it's a smaller folder than normal. So we're actually going to have to do this twice. So what I'm going to do is take a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white cardstock. And we're going to lay this in the embossing folder on the side that we don't have the ink. And then we will fold this over. And we will run this through our embossing machine. All right, so now we have our stripes embossed on there, but you can see it does not cover the entire piece of cardstock. So we're going to have to ink this again. So I'm just going to use I'm not going to clean it. I'm just going to use this as is. And this time we only need to add just this part into our embossing folder. So I just kind of looked at how the design goes and just kind of folded this over so that I had a little bit of white in between. So we'll bring this over. So we'll leave it just about like that. And then we'll run this through the embossing machine again. So the trick to this is to lay this so that the paper goes through first, and then we can lay this on top of our embossing folder, and then we'll send it through. And then we'll take this off, and we have our embossed image. And then you can run this, I recommend running this embossing folder under water, just some warm water to kind of clean off that ink. You do get a really nice design here that you can use to create your flag. So we're going to start with a piece of white cardstock for the base of our card this time. And that's simply so that the white and red just kind of blends in there. So we're going to use our embossed piece, the piece that we embossed with ink. And we'll just add this to our card front. So the nice thing about a standard card design is it already has a flag shape, and so it makes it really easy to decorate this to make it into a flag. So the next thing I did is I just cut a piece of blueberry bushel using the large square shape from the Stylish Shapes dies, and I'm just going to add this large square right to the top here, the top left. And then I just created the same kind of focal point with the circle sayings, and we'll just add that to our part of the flag here. So it just makes a really cool flag card, and it's super simple. It's a little messy, but it's pretty simple. And then I just added some stars on the inside for this card. And then this last card idea is just another way to create a flag design using the ink embossing technique. So I'll show you how to create this one. All right, so let's ink up our embossing folder again. So I'm just using real red ink. So I have two pieces of cardstock. This one is 2.5 by 4 1/4 inches. So we'll just lay that one on there. And then this one is 1 by 3 inches. And so we will lay this on this side. And then we will fold this over and run this through our embossing machine. All right, so here are the pieces that we have that are embossed. They're ink embossed. So now we're ready to make our card. So we're going to start with a piece of blueberry bushel for the base of the card. And basically these two pieces are going to go on the card like this. So this will go on the bottom, and then this piece will go off to the side. So I like to try to line it up so that it's red, white, red, white. So I'm going to adhere this piece first. So we'll adhere this directly to the card front. So we're basically going to be using the blue card front to create our little square for our card. So we're just boxing this in. And then this piece goes on the bottom. So it's the exact width of the card base. So we'll put this across the bottom and see how it matches up just perfectly. You get a little bit of white in between there. I like that this embossing folder is not perfect, that it has, you know, those characteristics in it to make it easier to line up and create this flag card. So then the last thing I did is just created the exact same focal point that I did for the other 3 cards. And we're just gonna put this right in the center up here. So there you go. There's your portrait style flag card. So then on the inside, I had some extra of this from practicing. So I just cut it up and used it to decorate the inside of the card. Okay, so there you go. Now you have 4 different patriotic card ideas that you can use with the Circle Sayings bundle or any other supplies that you have on hand. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.